Welcome to our new program, 401k Real Chat. This is Fred Barstein, contributing editor for wealthmanagement.com's RPA Edge and CEO at Trow, TPSU, and 401k TV. I invite the most interesting, innovative, and impactful retirement and wealth management professionals that I know, asking them to provide open, honest, and candid answers to three important and at times difficult questions. So let's get real. So today my guest is Brad Arends, CEO and co-founder at Intellicents. Brad has been an advisor for a long time, record keeper before that, until he got a little bit more wisdom and said, I'm going to focus on being an advisor, but was a very prolific, significant record keeper in the record keeping TPA. So welcome to Real Chat today. I think if I can speak today, that would be helpful. Brad, glad to have you.
I'm honored to be included in this, Brad.
Thank you. You're an early pioneer here. So couple of questions, three questions for you. First question is, why is the convergence of wealth, retirement, and benefits at work seem to be picking up steam in the last couple of years? And why is that important?
I think there's a number of factors influencing what's happening in the industry today. Number one is just pure economics. I mean, there is no question that there's a lot of advisors out there, and size matters today. And with size, you can hopefully get economies and efficiencies. So I think you can't discount that. There's also there's a lot of 60-year-old retirement plan advisors out there. They're looking for an exit. And so once again, that plays into the economics. Why is it happening? They need an exit strategy, and a lot of them really haven't planned that well. The third economic piece would probably be fee compression. There's no doubt that it's happened. It's happened across the entire retirement spectrum, not just the record keepers, but also the advisors. And it's going to continue to happen. So I think when you look at all three of those economic influences, I think that's why it started, Fred. It started because of economics. Now, I think today the pandemic exposed the financial weaknesses of the American worker. And so I think there is a big component of there's a problem here. And we need to, it's not a single discipline that's going to be able to fix this problem. We have to work on not just the poor retirement health of the American worker, but just the poor financial health of the American worker. And that takes and adds the convergence of group insurance and healthcare and things like that. But it also pulls in wealth management, because we're not just talking about retirement in our group meetings anymore. We're going and talking about budgeting and, debt management, emergency savings. What about an early unforeseen death? All these things never used to come up in group meetings or one-on-ones, or even with conversations with plan sponsors and HR.
But are you seeing, from the plan sponsor perspective, a shift in their interest in having their advisor do that? And if so, why?
Yes, I am. I think that, once again, I think a lot of that has to do with the pandemic. I've been in this business since 1984, so a long time. And as a consultant, not just, as a record keeper. And I had never had a plan sponsor asked me about whether or not we could help them with emergency savings or budgeting or debt management until the pandemic hit. And I've been through a lot of recessions and a lot of bad economic times, but it was just different. It just was. So I think that not only is it important to them, I think it's important to their hiring. I think it's important to their retention today. to the point where I've found that they're willing to pay for this. I mean, there was always this notion of, will an employer pay for financial wellness or financial planning as an employee benefit? I'm finding they will. And some of them will pay 100% of it. Some of them will subsidize it in some way, shape, or form. But once again, I think there are things impacting the American worker, which is then impacting employers. Face it, the American gets the vast majority of what they need financially from their place of employment.
Right, the payroll.
And they almost expect their employer to do these kind of things and teach them about things that they should have been taught about way back in junior high and high school.
So how is Intelligence leveraging the conversion? And I know that you've been doing a lot of wealth management. Why did you get involved with wealth management in such a big way?
Well, we really dabbled in wealth management up until 2015. In 2015, a couple of things happened. Number one of my best clients, I was at a quarterly investment committee meeting, and the CFO of this client, this is a big client. I mean, they have 4,000 employees. He starts the meeting out by saying, "Brad, your firm does a great job of getting our employees to retirement." And I'm, beaming ear to ear. And then he goes, "But then you abandon them."
Yeah.
And then, and I looked at him like, "What do you mean?" He said, "Then some commission-based broker." He actually named one of the, the biggest wirehouses in the United States, which I won't repeat. But he said, "Some commission-based broker comes in with a beautiful, bright, shiny index annuity brochure, and in one transaction, he has destroyed 30 years of your work." Because it puts them in an index annuity with 350 basis points of added cost, and he's stuck with that because there's contingent deferred sales charges. And he goes, "How are you going to help us with this?" And I came back and realized that not only did we need to help these people get to retirement, but we have to get them through retirement. And so we said we have to make a commitment to private wealth to do this. And we failed at it in the beginning. We did. We got the wrong people. And finally, I got the right people. And that was basically not just a person who knew how to manage money on the retirement side, when they're actually in retirement, but you need financial planners to do this. And when we realized this was a financial planning service that was going to solve this need, these issues, that changed things for us. So we needed to get into wealth management. It needed to be centered on financial planning, and in that way, with the other service that we already had on the group insurance side, we could provide one resource and be a resource for the employee's entire financial life there, if we had those financial planners there.
Right. I remember not too long ago, you were on a panel with JD from Retireaholics.
Yeah.
And he said something, he's a good friend and I respect him, but he said something like, "Well, how hard is it to do wealth management? You just read a few things, take a few courses, and you can become a wealth manager." And, in a very nice way, you disagreed.
Well, the investment component is the commonality. I mean, in both you're picking funds and you're putting together asset allocation strategies, but the service is totally different. Right. And it's really hard for an RPA to do an A paper in both because he just won't have the time to do it, especially if you're doing financial planning, because financial planning is way beyond fund selection and asset allocation. I mean, you become their financial therapist is what happens when you're doing it. And that is what they need. They desperately need it. What did it take for us to get in here? We had to buy our way in. We did. We failed in the first by trying to convert existing retirement people to do that. failure. Or just going out and finding somebody. We needed to go out and buy somebody.
Right.
That was in financial planning. And we did that, and it was an epiphany event for our firm. I mean, it changed our firm, not just because we had that there, but it changed how we approached the retirement side and the group insurance side. And it has really, really rung the bell for Intellicents to really say worksite, instead of worksite financial wellness, we call it worksite financial planning. Because when you're saying worksite financial wellness, it's almost always based on education and coaching. When you're talking about financial planning, you're giving advice and you're executing for them. I mean, you not only give the advice, you do it for them. And that is what it takes to move the dial for the American worker.
And you've done some good analysis on revenue generated from participants. And to quote you, I think maybe almost correctly, the median is $283 a month from the participant, of which almost $260 comes from wealth management, with the other half coming from remainder from retirement, and the other from benefits. So it's economically pretty attractive. Final question for you. We've got the prohibited transaction 2020-02, which now makes recommending a rollover strategy of fiduciary act. It's got to be in the best interest. How do you think that's going to affect wealth advisors as well as RPA specialists?
I think it's going to push them towards a financial planning approach. When you're an RPA, you have to really do things in the best interest of that plan. When you're a certified financial planner, it's the same standard there. You have to do things that are in the best interest of that individual or that family. And so I think for a lot of RPAs, it's going to mean that they not only get into wealth management, but it's going to have to focus on financial planning. I think for those of us that have done it, it's made us better, especially from we as a retirement RPA, we were always giving advice to participants that was in their best interest. But now we're able to go beyond just the plan advice, and we're better advisors today because we're learning more about their financial situation and how to actually improve on today's money so that they can be successful with tomorrow's money. I mean, you can go a long way by helping employees use the plans better. You can, but you're going to hit a wall with a lot of them, because it doesn't matter how much they know about the plan or how to use the plan. They just don't have any money because today's money's a mess. And so we're a better advisor today, giving advice to participants about retirement because we're asking better questions as a financial planner.
You think more money is going to be retained inside the plan that it's going to keep, as opposed to having so much of it roll out of the plan?
I think there's going to be a lot more money that stays in the plan, but I think it's to expect the vast majority to stay in the plan. I don't think that's going to happen. And I don't think that's going to be the advisors doing. I think that's just going to be the American worker who says, I've got all this other money some other place. I don't want all these buckets of money anymore. I want one place where I can manage not just my qualified money, the tax advantage money, but also my non-qualified money.
Right.
And so I think there'll be a good share of people that take it out for convenience.
It's still going to be quite a bit. Yeah, there was a recent lawsuit where a plan sponsor or a participant was sued their plan, their record keeper, and their custodian because $750,000 account was drained by a hacker, and she was claiming you. But what I picked up on is she had left the company 12 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
she wasn't
now,
overseeing it very closely.
I'm like, whoa, so I got this liability. Not only do I have to keep track of it, but if a hacker comes in and drains the account, I could be liable. So those are good questions. Congratulations on moving from retirement into the wealth management. It's not easy. Being an older, a little wiser industry professional, it seems like every time I have to change and learn something new, it gets a little bit harder. I'm a little less eager. So I applaud you for that and to continue to change. So to do that.
Well, for your audience and those RPAs that haven't done it, I can tell you in 2015, I didn't have a single CFP on staff, not one. Today, I have 12, and I also have 2 ERISA attorneys that focused on estate planning, and they're now going back to get their CFA or CFP to complement it. It can be done. It takes work and patience and money and people there, but you'll be a better firm, and your clients you'll thrive with your clients and do actually a better job.
And I know that even some of the larger aggregators are trying to do this and struggling. It's harder even for a smaller practitioner, which is probably fueling, like you said from the beginning, the consolidation of the RPA market on that.
Well, Fred, I mean, you mentioned I'm a former record keeper. If I wouldn't have sold that, I wouldn't have had the money to be able to go out and do what we've done. Yeah. I mean, a lot of my winnings from that sale have gone back into this business model. Yeah. And our belief is so strong in it that I didn't even blink an eye.
You make different decisions when you have capital, don't you?
You do. You do.
Yes. And when it's your own capital, you can actually make good decisions. Yes. Well, thank you today, Brad. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for your insight. Thanks for being real on 401k Real Chat. And look for more sessions like this. And if you have suggestions about who you would like me to invite on 401k Real Chat, just please let me know. So thanks again, Brad.
Thank you, Fred.